Hello, everybody. Walking by the AVCA Coaches Conference and Convention. Welcome to our live-ish episode number 81 of the USA Volleyball Show. We are the official podcast of USA Volleyball. I am your co-host, Clarence. I will hand it over to this lovely gentleman next to me to introduce himself.
Yeah, also co-host on the podcast, Stephen Munson. I'm also the digital media and engagement manager at USA Volleyball. Basically,
I didn't know we were announcing titles too. That's crazy.
Nobody here knows who I am. Basically, a long title to say that I'm the social media manager at USA Volleyball as well. But yeah, and we have a very special guest joining us. I'm going to let you actually introduce yourself.
I was going to go. Do I get to go? Do I say myself?
Absolutely.
Spotlight on.
Floor is yours.
Nickie Sanlin.
Organically, of course.
Organically. I actually had a title change, so we're going to say titles today.
Great.
Head men's volleyball coach, director of volley, assistant AD, diversity and inclusion designee.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations on the new title change.
Thank you. King of the North. That's all that too.
I feel like we should have started off with
been the name.
What don't you do? I feel like you do it all.
Do you want me to go into NTDP? Or I'm also running the U19-20 program for the Winter Training Series.
That's right.
So,
that's coming up here in Anaheim. Is that correct?
Yes, 27th through 30th.
So you don't sleep.
I don't sleep. I also have kids, dog, boyfriend, all the things.
Does that all fit onto a business card that you're handing out here at the convention?
I think if you would ask my friends, my acronym would be something quite different, but yes, that's how it works.
Well, I guess speaking of the convention, we are live here on the podcast stage at the AVCA Convention here in Tampa, Florida. Much better weather than Omaha last year.
Yeah.
I don't know
Omaha
if you were
was
in
freezing.
Omaha.
It was absolutely terrible.
So
we actually
cold.
had to drive to Omaha too.
We did.
I only fly. We're only doing that. We're only flying.
We
That's
tried to
also
say
on our
that.
business
They were
card.
like, get in the car. But yeah.
But yeah,
luckily
we're here
got
at the convention center. The convention center at the AVCA convention. What, I guess this year, are your impressions of the convention? Is it, same old, good reunion to see everybody? What do you like about the convention?
I'll say this year in particular, it's been pretty good because I think this is the first time that we've been, at least I have been, to a convention in warmer climate.
Okay, yeah.
So the impression is a lot, people are more friendly right now because it's enjoyable outside. It's not Omaha. Kansas City was great.
I was going to say, what number year is this for you?
My first convention was in 2012.
Okay.
So I will say the two coldest was Columbus was like a snowstorm, and then Omaha last year. I've been to Omaha twice, and they both have been freezing. And this is now some reprieve and the sun, because I haven't really seen the sun, but it's been warm.
We got here Wednesday afternoon, and we saw like the last bit of sun, and then since then it's just been kind of gloomy. And
no, but this experience has been great. I really think Tampa has done an excellent job branding the championship as far as the wrapped buses, the engagement in the gym. I think it's been phenomenal so far. So no complaints.
Yeah, we walked by the fan experience outdoors outside of the arena for the semifinals. That was really cool too.
That has not been something that I've taken place in, and maybe I just don't know the infrastructure of the other cities, but I would love to come back to Tampa because it is a fan experience. It is, engaging the athletes, the convention goers. Right. It's an all-inclusive kind of thing, and I don't know if I've actually had that experience at other cities, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Tampa specifically really knows sports. I mean, Tampa Bay Lightning, 2-time Stanley Cup champions.
I'm a Blues fan, by the way, so I'm okay with that.
I'm a Kings fan / Avalanche fan,
all right,
so it's fine. But
we're okay.
This is a very central hub and a great hub to have sporting events there too. So that fan experience outside was very great. They had a projector outside and everything, so they're doing good things too. And the matches last night were
I was going to say
really
impressions
good.
on the matches.
The impressions on the matches is I'm in awe. I'm really granted I'm leaving tomorrow, but I'm really excited for the championships on Sunday. Because, of course, I feel like it's evil versus evil. No one wants anyone to win. It's
the
like,
volleyball powers, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's Texas. We don't want them to win. Nebraska. We don't want them to win. But
Stephen's from Dallas now. Because
I was going to say I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm used to that as well. But no, it's
going to be like the Battle of the Titans tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a championship for the ages. It's going to be phenomenal.
I'm excited for it. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be here. Curtis and I, our producer, will be here for that. Clarence unfortunately has to leave, go coaching in Denver.
Okay.
We'll miss him.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll have fun. I hope my teams win because they know I'm coming back for them. So we should we should be able to pull it out. But I mean, I think great conversation, way to kick things off.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your history. How were you introduced to the game of volleyball? What got that started for you?
My dad played adult league volleyball, and I was a very big basketball player. Mm-hmm. 4th, 5th grade on, doing AAU basketball, and then I would go to adult leagues with my dad. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I hate to say it like this, they run less. So I was like, man, all this running I got to do in the basketball world. No, and it's something that I took a hold of, and it was, I maybe burnout took its place for basketball because it was my first love, and then the running. But then I was like, I could be good at this. It is something that I enjoy, and the competitiveness, and if you would ask my family right now, they're like, you made the wrong choice. But if you're looking at my life in the grand scheme of things, I made the right choice, actually. Yeah. So it's a long journey. So thanks, Dad. Volleyball at a young age.
Okay. Yeah, definitely doing really well in the volleyball world, and we'll get to your career as well. But kind of wanted to hear, you mentioned the competitiveness, you mentioned less running, but what are some of the things that kind of hooked you about volleyball and kept you in the sport?
I'll say it just let me be me in this space where...
And less running.
Like less running. Just a team aspect.
Yeah.
I feel like any coach has natural leadership qualities, and this was an opportunity as a collegiate athlete. I was the emotional leader, the one that brings the team in, and that you don't have that time to do that in basketball. It's like, okay, you score a point, we're running back down the court, we got to play defense, are we pressing? In volleyball, it's really the camaraderie and just your engagement that this is, okay, maybe Maddie Skinner's going to drop 40 tomorrow because she wasn't the player of the year, but that's fine. But you have to rely so much on those 5 to 7 other athletes, including subs, and that was attractive. And just the camaraderie is, I can't say that enough, and I think so it attracts me now as a coach, is that relationship building really suck out, and it didn't in the basketball space.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the amount of trust you see that has to happen organically, like you said, on the volleyball court, and not effortlessly, but it's just, you don't even think about it, unconsciously, right?
Yes.
I think that kind of leads me, I want to ask you, as far as like what kind of player you are, what personality do you bring to your teammates as a player? We're not even on the coaching side yet, as a player.
It's the same. Very straightforward, very aggressive, very blunt.
Okay. And that is much needed on a volleyball team.
Yes,
and a volleyball
I was
program.
that. So
you
that one
that
person, that was me.
That's going to hold you accountable and not sugarcoat anything.
No, I was that person, but in that time frame, there was no one else. It was me, and we all played our role in those different dynamics. And I just was like, I'm not here to make friends. All I care about is ball, is life. I want to win. That's all I did in the youth stages. And I wanted to work out, play, may or may not wanted to go to class. That's cool, but we're not. Do as I say, not as I do. But I just wanted to be that person. I am an aggressive type of individual, and I feel like as long as you're transparent as a coach, player, friend, relationships, people are going to know where you stand at all times.
Yeah.
And that's where I've seen just more life success, not just in the coaching or the competitive space. And I would rather, also on the side note, speaking of competitiveness, I want to win at everything. So if we're going to do a crossword right now, thumb war, whatever, we're in. Yeah. I might headbutt you. We'll see how this goes. We'll figure it out.
Well, you're winning at the podcast right now, so that you got that checked.
I will. Note taken.
You mentioned you bring that kind of spirit, that energy as both a player and a coach. I guess kind of transitioning, how did you get into coaching?
I actually stated earlier today that when I look back at my collegiate career, I've been coaching since I entered college.
Okay.
So I entered college. Of course, you think side hustle, like I'm going to coach club. But when I came home, I'd go camps. Same thing every year, coaching club. I was the athlete that stayed, didn't go home. I did all the satellite camps. I went across the state with my coach, and I really loved it. And so by the time I was able to get, I guess you would say, a real job, I felt lost in that space of now what? this isn't sports anymore. This isn't the camaraderie, the relationships, the road trips, the competitiveness, the real drive about it. And to be honest, I got fired because I am in or out. That's how I look at my life, as far as I'm all in. And if I'm not all in, then I'm going to kind of half-ass that situation of I'm really not going to do a good job and I deserve to be fired. And moved home. I had kids, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that time. And my sister was playing club, and I like, hey, you want to coach club at the club I played for? Your sister's coaching, coach 13s, and then 2 years later, the McKendree assistant job opened, and that's kind of all she wrote at that point in time. So if I look back in retrospect, I've been doing this in some capacity my entire life. So. Cool.
When did you realize that either the love or that hook you have, or passion you have for coaching?
I will say, I coached both the men's and women's team for 12 years, and there was a point where I took over the women's team, and I was the interim head coach, and this was our second or third year in Division II. And we went on a championship run. We went, all the way to the championship, first program in our school history. And I started crying when we won the quarterfinal. And I was like, I was lost. I was still like, I can't physically do this anymore. How am I going to get my fix? Like, I don't want to do triathlons. I don't want to run. I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to do marathons. That's running. How am I going to get my fix? And then at that moment, I can still see, like, we weren't expected to win. We finished terrible the year before. And it was like, boom. And these kids really bought into myself, of just who I am as a person. And then they started exuding personalities of myself. And then I'm like, nope, I don't know what else I'd be good at, actually. I don't know. We'll figure it out. That's how it works for us. So they're stuck with me forever in some capacity now.
I love that. Yeah. So you mentioned you started off as an assistant at McKendree, found yourself in the head coaching role with the women's side first. And then
at that same year, that was the second year of the men's program.
Okay.
And I was the men's head coach, the women's assistant.
Oh, I got it.
And then I became the interim women's head coach. And like, we like you a lot. Do you want to do both? And I was like, yes, I'm in. So I got sucked in that way.
Right away, you were
all in.
Let's
I'm
do
in.
it. Yeah.
And at that time, and talking about wearing a ton of hats, I did men's head coach, women's assistant, boys 18s assistant, girls 18s assistant, and then I had 2 kids under the age of 6 at the time.
Wow.
Just out here to grind.
How do you do it? You just, the love and...
You cry a lot, actually.
Yeah.
But, it's worth it. I tell a lot of young coaches of, like, what's your why?
Yeah.
Like, figure out your why. And in that space, my why is, it's transitioned, where competitiveness, like, that's never going to change. But then I started creating these relationships with the athletes and the coaches that now I call my friends, that I'm like, I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
This is different than any other landscape in the business world, and it's addicting. You can't get away from it.
Yeah. So do they need any other coaches at McKendree, or are you just going to take over all the sports programs?
Actually tell our basketball coach, can I be like the Matthew McConaughey director of hype, because I am a aggressive person.
Love that. Sitting on the bench. And
because have you seen the Key and Peele Obama translator?
Oh, yeah.
Our basketball coach is this super nice guy. He's 6'10", and I say, I want to stand right behind you and be like,
all right, this is what he actually meant.
I want to be that person. And so I always go in and I play this song every time they win. So I'm like, can I get a polo? Quarter zip. Yeah. I can sit on the bench. What do you need? I'm here for it. So I try to work my way into a lot of spaces. So can't say no for some reason.
Very strategic.
Yes, I know where I fit.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, like you have a very large workload, right? And it's got to be mentally straining. How do you stay mentally tough? How do you push through those challenging points? And I mean, speaking to you, I can already tell that what you do and how you do it is very inspirational to all of your athletes. You got a bunch of mini U's running around on the court.
I do, thankfully.
So, like, how do you lead that charge? How do you just keep a level head?
I will say at the beginning of my head coaching career, it was tough. We lost a lot. I created a program. I took over a program. I was still figuring things out as a young coach, and I thankfully have a great familial system, and I have a great friend system. Mm-hmm. I'll tell a quick story that kind of will give you a little behind the scenes. As a female head coach in the men's landscape, I had someone tell me that I would never get another job offer because not my work ethic, my character, anything like this, because I'm a woman. But wait, no offense. Oh, we're good? No offense? We're so cool? So I cried myself to sleep at night at my parents' house, and I'm not a crier by any means. I'm the son my father never had. I'm not the emotional one. The next morning, I'm puffy-eyed. I'm in the bathroom taking a shower, getting ready for game day. And my mom, who's one of the strongest people I know, she comes in the bathroom and she's like, "What the hell are you crying for?" I'm like, "Nothing." Wiping my face, like, "I'm good." And then I kind of give her the story of, hey, this is what someone said to me, that I would never do any amount to anything. And this is year 3 of the program. And she said, they're right. And at that point in time, you're thinking, like, I just want, like, we're good. I'm not a big hugger, but I'm like, are we okay? You're going to be fine. They're wrong. And I wanted her to, like, co-sign with how I was feeling. And she's like, you're right. You have to be better than the best. You have to be your black female head coach who is entering this landscape that they don't know anything about you. Maybe you play Division I volleyball, but that doesn't matter to them. You have to be better than the best. And I tell my athletes now, like, it's sometimes not what you need in the moment, or not what you want in the moment, it's what you need. And I needed that little swift kick, and I thankfully have friends that remind me of, like, who I am to them and who I am to the people around me, and I have this support system. But I have learned about myself, I have this knack of, in COVID, I had to coach both teams in the same season.
Wow.
And someone on Twitter basically kind of doubted me, and I was like, I'm Nickie Sanlin, I was born in the fire. I'm Bane, born in the dark. You only adopted it. So that's how I feel.
I was thinking Khaleesi.
My Insta handle is Nicolette, first of her name. There we are.
Bend the knee. Yeah.
Yes. So that's kind of how I have great people around me that I know who I am, but when I have those doubts, Janice is right there. She's my graduate assistant, and I've definitely cried several times, and that's okay. And I try to tell the athletes, like, I do it too. Like, I have doubts. I have these moments where I'm like, am I Nickie Sanlin? Am I this person? And I have the support system that's like, yeah, you are. So let's lock it up, wipe the face, let's go, and then I'll hug you after you're done.
Well, staying on topic there, you're one of the few women coaches coaching men's volleyball at the collegiate level. What do you think needs to be done to give more opportunities to women to coach men's volleyball, at any level, club, collegiate, any level?
I ultimately will say it's support, because I think there's only so many ways you can skin a cat. We're all teaching volleyball the same. Maybe there's different nuances, but are women and men trained the same way? But the support has to be there, and there's not. I said in our men's general meeting, I had to have a male coach stand next to me when I first started to get the attention of the athlete. They wouldn't look or talk to me, which that has changed drastically by now. But the support from the clubs, the support from the collegiate environment, that we can do this. Because I've asked several times my parents in the beginning of my career of, like, what are you going to do with my son? Like, how are you going to coach him? I'm like, what is he going to do with me? Because I don't back down from this environment. And I think there's this misconception, or maybe early on, that not the women, we can't handle this space. And I say my strength is that I'm a mother, that I'm going to show young men how to treat a woman in power, how they should treat women altogether. And that I am also scary. You should fear me. Let's go. Let's fire this up. But it's can we have the support from those areas to really push women in those spaces, and that we can be successful.
Yeah. What words of wisdom do you have for this could be a female coach in a similar situation, or a coach that is part of a marginalized group that is new to enduring, some of the, struggles and challenges that you have overcome. Not completely, life is life, but, that could be in a similar situation.
Just maintain your conviction and be vulnerable, because I've had in the past coaches say, like, you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't do these things. And, I'm supposed to be, hi, I'm Coach Nickie and I do everything correctly and I'm not wrong. But I think the best thing about me is that I am wrong. That I do believe in myself and that what I'm saying, but I also can say, like, hey, you're actually right. And the athlete is taken aback, like, oh, I'm right? I'm like, yes. I'm not perfect. I did PowerPoints this year for the women's team where I'm like, I'm a mom, friend, sister, coach. I am a person. I make errors, but I believe that I am a good coach. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in my morals and values, and I believe in what I'm saying. And especially in the men's space, that if you question at any moment that I'm not good at this job or I'm not good at what I'm doing, they'll eat you alive. So I could say the sky is green and say it with enough conviction, like, yeah, the sky's green. Of course it is. I know it is because she said it. So that's kind of the thing of just have conviction, be vulnerable, admit when you're right. Don't say yes, of course I'm a woman, hear me roar, but we have different traits where I am sensitive. Like these young men, they need hugs. They need lots of hugs. They need to cry. They need to be encouraged to cry. They need to be encouraged to really engage their emotions. And I don't think we always do a great job of that as coaches, especially in the business of winning. And that's something that I feel like, come on, women, let's do that and then show some tough love. Because every time a kid comes in my office and they get in trouble or they, some tough conversation, I'm like, okay, hug me. Come on. And they have to leave that way. And it creates a relationship where I think, they'll go through the fire for me, or like one fights, we all fight, where that's how it, I want to roll. So that's kind of my advice there.
Do you think, since you started, are you seeing more support on the landscape, or is it, obviously still needs work, but are you seeing it kind of continue to grow and get support?
Oh, there's so many more coaches, just starting at the club level, where that's the first stop, like the club high school level, where they have engaged. Maybe I've only had a female coach in my volleyball career, so in the event they come to me, this isn't foreign.
Right.
Or I recruit a lot of young men they're coming from matriarchal homes, so this is like, okay, this isn't foreign. But now there's a bigger push where, yes, we need coaches. There's a lot of good women not coaching right now, and it's starting at the club level, which is awesome to see. And now I'm really excited to look and see if that translates into the collegiate scape, where it is in Division III, some in NAI, but I think there's maybe 2 or 3 of us head coaches in the Division I, II space, and there's 3 of us in my conference, so my graduate assistant and then the assistant at Loyola. That's it.
Yeah. No, I think that's important, like you said, to start at that kind of grassroots level.
Yeah.
Where the kids are growing up, they don't know, any different.
No.
They're used to it. It's not foreign concept to them.
No.
So that then when they do get to the collegiate level, they have a women head coach. They're just like, yeah, let's go ball.
Yeah. When people were saying Saturdays are for the boys, that's me. Yeah. I'm in that. I am one of the boys. Yep. Mm-hmm. So that everybody knows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about all of it, about your coaching philosophy?
Well, it's all encompassing. And so if I want to just kind of dive into it, it's all based off of relationships, right? Like my coach is actually here somewhere, but he was tough. Like he was a tough cookie. He expected nothing but greatness, and he fostered a belief in us that we could beat anybody. Like we played Penn State one year, and there's some definitely Olympians on there, and we weren't going to win, but it didn't matter. And that's kind of how I am now. In my belief, and what we train in my gym is, if I know you as a human being, if I know you as a person, if I'm fostering this relationship, the training will exceed. The learning will be better. The communication levels will be better, because that means you're going to compete harder, because you're not just a number, that you have an opinion, that you're more than just the athlete. Because yes, we're in the business of winning, but I want to see you have kids, and I want to be invited to the wedding, and it's more than that. And I tell the women's players, I'm like, I'm preparing you to be a soldier to enter the world because it's hard out here for us. So everything I do in any environment, and I'm going to go to the winter training series, it's going to start with connection, the relationships, transparency, directness, because I think there's a misconception that there is no love in being direct and transparent, but it is. Like, you're going to know where I stand. You're going to know that I love you, but I love you isn't sunshine and rainbows. I love you tough. I love you means hard conversations. And then there is some sunshine in there. There are a lot of rainbows, but that means I have the willingness to go above and beyond for you. Yeah. So that's where I leave it.
I guess kind of talking about your season with the women's program, how did this year go for you?
Yeah, we went 15-12. Our unfortunate, just like a lot of other people, our best player tore ACL at the beginning of season, but I was so impressed with their level of perseverance. And we had the GLVC is one of the toughest Division II conferences in the country. And we had the number 2 team, the number 10, like there was 4 teams in the top 25, and we went through the gauntlet and kind of went on a 7-game slide. But we're like, we can run the table, and we won out the last 8 of the 11. And it was like, how many teams win on your last game? Not many. And so it was a lot of smiles, and they trained really hard, and they really embrace some new concepts that they're like, because I open practice, they're invited to come to men's practice. They come, sit, hang out, and see the differences. Can you learn something? Yeah. And they really grasp some of those concepts in the gym, and it was really exciting to see the translation of, you see what I did? I did that. We practiced this, but it was a good year. Yeah. It was definitely a good year.
Does your coaching style, or just not style, but does your kind of way of coaching different compared to coaching men versus women? If
you ask the men, they would say that I'm nicer.
I kind of believe that.
But it's funny, like the women want to dance, and like the guys also want to dance, but it's different. It's completely different. But I say this all the time as being a former club player, they're not teaching us the same things. It's stay in your lane. Don't be too competitive, but let's be, put the bow in your hair. Let's be nice. Let's teammates. Let's kumbaya and team bonding. And no one is doing that from the men's, like the boys' game. They're like, let's go bond through battle. And, it is tempered a little bit. But ultimately, the message is still the same. But the women's side, I have to make sure I do a better job or do a good job of, I'm not mad at you, the person. You did play well today, but that is not, you're not defined by your participation or by your play. That's separate. And that's something that's a little bit different, where the guys, I still have those conversations, but it's not, they brush it off a little, not a lot, but a little better. Mm-hmm. So
that's interesting you say that. So I coach on a club level. I have a 16s boys team and then a 17s girls team, and I also oversee a high school program. I'm a varsity head coach there for girls, and I feel like it's a little bit of the opposite of what you're saying for me, where it's like I can be a little bit harder on the girls because they know where I'm coming from, and they know I'm going to hold them accountable to the standard that they want to play at. And it's the same thing for the boys, but I feel like that the boys take a little bit more to heart. And
16s is a great age.
It is a great age.
They're still really nice.
Yes.
They're still so sweet, and they want you to love them. Oh yeah, it's such a sweet age. Like, my daughter is 16. She plays 16s club, and they're still like that super sweet. Like, we just want to learn, and we're excited to be here. But when you're thinking, I get into that 17s, 18s, am I recruitable? That stress comes in.
Right.
I think it changes a little bit, but there's some. Firm believer that you can't treat every athlete the same. I have a young lady on the team I can think of right now that I could give her the work. I can give her the business, and I am like, how do you want this? And she's like, just give it to me. She takes it, and she knows it's not
There's always that one
about her. But then there's still guys on the men's team that I can't. Like, I would never, in my mind, just communicate the same way. And I am direct, but there's varying levels of directness.
I hear you.
And it's apples and oranges, so you can't treat them the same. But for the most part, I have to remind the women's team, like, no, I'm not mad at you. Like, I love you guys. I recruited you. Why would I be mad? Like, I like you as a person. Like,
I want you here.
So in the guys, they're more apt to ask immediately of like, we good, bro? I'm like, yes, we are good. So
I want to hear more about these open practices too. What's the relationship like between the men's and women's teams? Is it like a very collaborative
large
training
cult
environment?
That's a very large cult. We have
okay.
Yeah, we have 40 indoor players, and then they are very close. And we actually this year needed some practice players, so the men came to practice. The freshman penance was to come to practice, and then once that kind of newness wore off, then it was like, they're not going to do that in GVC. I'm like, yes, this girl's going to do that. She's going to block just like that. They're not, we have some guys that touch 11, 8, 9, 10, and I'm like, he's not doing that right now. He's standing, so let's lock it in.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's absolutely awesome. And obviously, the big plug of more schools need men's volleyball, just because I think it's just such a natural training environment. The women come to they practice early morning, so the women come to the 9 to 11 a.m. practice because they have already done. And I think it's exciting because they see all the things that in real time of maybe you don't get it. Like, you're like, I don't understand what she's saying. This isn't true. But then you watch the level of competition in the gym and you're like, that's what you're talking about. And it's awesome. And they can take it back. And now they're watching more international volleyball. And now that they're playing more grass and beach, like for fun, because the guys do it all the time, and I'm like, now this is what you want as a coach, to see them actually love the game, instead of like, this is a job, I got to show up, because it is a job. It's hard, it's tough. You're together all the time, and it's not always niceties. And now they're like, I played a grass tournament, we lost, but it was pretty cool. I'm like, thank you. I love that you went. So it's large gang, volleyball or bust. They don't really hang out with other people. But there's some pockets of friends, soccer, basketball.
Yeah.
We like it, but it's really, this is the volleyball bubble. Hard to get in.
It's kind of like a cool, unique, I guess, experience that the athletes are getting, that you're recruiting to McKendree. Because it's two programs under the same coach.
Yeah.
And they, like you said, a cult, but like a big family.
It is a big family.
And you guys, I feel like more, and I think I said this to you at Mountain Classic, I feel like more junior events need to have both boys and girls at.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
One of our men's alumni played in the VLA, and they did like a showcase at one of the qualifiers, and then we randomly found a TikTok of some high school girl drooling over them and just like, oh my God, these. Janice, you know what I'm talking about. Shout out Patrick Ross. He's an all-star. But then they're like, after they get over the shock effect, but then they're like, wow, like they're not exposed to that on a daily basis. And it would be awesome. Yeah. And we always talk about having more showcase events just to see it, just to get the exposure to. Maybe I said this earlier of maybe you have a little brother who's 6'8" and he's not a great basketball player, but okay, he should be. Maybe he doesn't want to play baseball. Maybe he doesn't want to do these other sports. And it's like, why don't we just go? One of my first players, he was a hockey guy until he wore a size 17 skate. And they're like, you should probably try volleyball at 6'9". And then he was my first team All-MIVA guy.
Awesome.
And he only, at that time, played volleyball for 6 years. So I just think there needs to be more than, especially what Colorado just got sanctioned recently.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Correct. Yep.
And there's so many opportunities, and I think that's awesome. It's more the merrier.
Mm-hmm. So kind of transitioning over to, men's season. You mentioned the girls had a pretty challenging season, but, stepped up and, battled when required and all that good stuff there too. But how are you now kind of switching over to prep for the men's season coming up?
It's a little challenging just because they practice at the same time. So we have a 5-hour time block of volleyball. But as the women are ending, they're kind of gearing up into their scrimmage competition season. And then for me, it's hit the ground running. We go recruiting, convention, then I'm going to winter series, and I land the next day we start preseason.
Wow.
And so right now I'm trying to use these next couple of weeks to get odds and ends together of practice planning. And I've been watching video on planes, recapping from the fall. I will say the men are way more needy. They call me all the time, which I accept. I love it because I love them all. But if I get a random FaceTime right now, I would not be shocked. And they don't want to call, they don't want to just text. They want to FaceTime.
You have to answer it and tell them.
You answer.
Thankfully I put on my do not disturb, so I will not get one of those. But no, I have it down to a science now because this is year 12, but ending, I need like 3 days of a break, and then I'm good, and now we're back at it.
Yeah. What are your, I guess, favorite things about coaching at McKendree, and maybe even specifically each program too, but what are your favorite things about coaching at McKendree?
The people, small school, and obviously I've been there for a while and I've seen coaches come and go, but I am valued. I'm heard. I'm an AD now. They let me achieve my goals. They love my kids. We have, I guess you would say, kind of the luxury of freedom. And when I say freedom, it's I am put in a space to do the winter training series, and it's not, hey, why are you not in the office?
Right.
It's, we know you're working. We know you're representing us. We know that we're putting our name in different spaces in the country, and in turn, that's great for the university. We're getting kids from all walks of the nation. But I love it just because of I get to be who I want to be. And I think as a coach and you're in the profession, that is a prerequisite for any job. And my friends, when they call, I'm thinking about this job, I'm like, are you happy? Check. No? Okay, you're not happy. Okay, now next step. That's always the first question. I'm happy. I wake up in the morning and I don't feel anxious about going to work. Obviously there's up and down days, but I can tell my athletic director, hey, I'm having a really bad day and I'm going to stay at home. I'm at work. All right, I'll check on you later. And that's the relationship. It's relationships. That's everything for me.
Mm-hmm. How do you continue to instill diversity, equity, inclusion into your program? Overall.
It is a focus, but I have been fortunate enough that the players that I love and love me have been I have this thing about Puerto Rican liberos, man. I love it. And right now we have a great transfer. We had a young man who did great things for us that just graduated. We have an incoming freshman. And then, we have 2 other really wonderful liberos as well. But I think representation-wise, you attract people that are similar to you. As far as there's only a few brown people out there playing volleyball and playing for this lady coach that I maybe have had at camp or at USA, and they want to be there. I want them to want to be there, and that has seemed to be the kind of MO. So yeah, I am very aware of that space, but you attract kind of, I guess you would say, people that reflect yourself. And I've been fortunate in that way. So
yeah, kind of staying on topic there, you're the chair of the AVCA Diversity Development Team.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about your role and with that team, and then what you guys are doing?
For the AVCA, I am the chair for the recipients, where our focus is programming, scholarship, and the award system. Because as we know in this profession, it's not about what you know, it's who you know. And this is giving coaches that are predominantly first-time attendees to attend the convention, because a lot of programs can't afford to send this person here.
Right.
And then how am I supposed to get a job? How am I supposed to improve my skills? How am I supposed to network? And that is where our focus really lies. And now we're really kind of honing in on what's next after convention. You don't want to say, hey, I got this award and throw my hands up and I'm done. It's, can we have programming? Really encouraging coaches and pockets of the country to say hey, you from Colorado? Welcome to my gym. I coach at UCCS and I'd love to that doesn't cost money. Just are we able to donate time? And that's really something that we're trying to focus on as well. So recipients are the priority. Our alumni are a priority, and just making sure we're helping coaches advance in the profession.
Mm-hmm. retention, big question there, big item there. How do you go about retaining these athletes? And when I say retaining, just retaining their love for the game, retaining what they've learned and their passion, so they either continue on with it, with whatever career they move on to, whether it's volleyball at the professional level or whatever it is, or retaining it to pay it forward to someone else one day. Because I know as a player growing up, I know what I didn't have from my coaches, and I'm all about trying to pay that forward to the next person so they have better opportunities and more opportunities than I ever had.
I'll go back to what I said earlier about, we all know when we're coaching, we're in for the business of winning.
Yes.
We already know that. That's already given. But especially kind of in the latter years, and relationships have always been a priority, but my job is to prepare you. And along with that is really, really honest conversations of happiness is really relative. I actually tell my daughter this, and she's like, I'm not you, and I'm like, I'm not happy all the time. It's sometimes like, I don't want to go to practice. It's something I have to do today, and acknowledge it. And then I really encourage them to, when you leave the gym, shed this space. Like, I use the word compartmentalize a lot, which for the longest time, no one ever told me they didn't know what it meant. They just kind of were like, uh-huh. And I'm like, are you able to say, volleyball's in this box? That's it. School's in this box. Social. And I have, over time, done a really good job of putting things in each space, and there's some overlap. That's how we have had the opportunity to retain our athletes and have them still love it. We incorporated, actually, the past couple of years, mental health days, where they get 2 mental health days, no questions asked.
That's awesome.
And there are more athletes that are like, and I don't want to know if you don't want to tell me, like, I'm not good, I'm not coming today. I'm going to take my day. And that has helped with their mental health. And same thing, I am also extremely vulnerable in saying, like, unfortunately I had a player die in 2019, and my best friend and assistant coach died in 22, I think 22 or wow. 21 or 22. And I am very vulnerable about the stages of grief and where I'm at as a person. And it's very cute that I love Red Bull, so I'll get a mysterious Red Bull on my desk or a text saying, like, I'm here for you if you need me. I'm like, what are you going to tell me? Like, what life advice are we going to do right now? But I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Or I get the "you good bro" text. Like, I get a lot of love. I have athletes that have come to my office and I've been in the verge of tears or in tears, and the guys are huge. So I have a memory of one of our 6'8" opposites, and we do the black women hugging rock. But that means that it's more than just volley. That means there's love there. And even if the kids do transfer, they're always a Bearcat. You're always welcome to the gym. Obviously, there's the handful that may not go about it the right way, but I'm always here to help you. If I say happiness is the paramount of your life, and if you're not happy here, let me help you. And they're like, actually, I'm not. But I'm like, okay, how can I now change gears and be a resource to you to get you where you need to go? And I have thankfully had more success with that approach and still being who I am. But also like, hey, I'm not good. You don't have to be good all the time. We're okay. And you can not be good in this space, and let's just make it through the day. And I don't think we actually acknowledge all the time. Like, we just need to get through the day, and then tomorrow's new.
I need to check if I have any collegiate eligibility left, because I want to come play for you.
Hey, locked in. Let's go.
After that was amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess, a little bit still on topic there. Volleyball community is big, but it's a small community. It's tight. Everybody knows everybody somehow. There's a lot of connections. What challenges are minorities still facing in coaching, and how can the volleyball community as a whole really help and support with that and help move that forward?
It's all about, think of it as a player. There's people on the team that you have a little click with. It's the same as coaches.
Yeah.
It's the same the whole time. And thankfully, at least in the men's space, shout out Dan Friend. He's my homie, head coach at Lewis. He extended the olive branch right away, and that has blossomed into a beautiful friendship. And I will say the Midwest coaches were very quick to where this is our brotherhood. And then I went and worked at camp, and shout out David Niffen, love him too. And I threw myself out there, and I was like, hey, I'm afraid, I don't really know you. I think the West Coast coaches are kind of standoffish. And he's like, nope. And he put me in a position to be successful at a camp and spotlight me. And I'm like, I just needed to put myself out there. And it's scary. I think, as I mentioned, I'm a rip the Band-Aid off type of person, like, let's get over with it. But our willingness as coaches to be approachable, to be available, to take a text, to take a phone call, to do any of those things. And scary space. It's terrifying. And I don't think there's an easy answer to it. It's just, you got to make up your mind and actually just rip the Band-Aid off and be like, hi, I love you. Can we be friends? Can you help me? And might be a little creepy, but it'll turn out okay in the end.
I like that. Both sides of it, as a coach here, be approachable to those conversations, those meetups, and then the other side of it is don't be afraid. Rip the Band-Aid off. Just do it.
You got to rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah. I definitely approached David Niffen at a USA camp. He was the head coach. That was the first time I was working with like the top group. And he said he was walking to the convention center. And I was like, I'm going to walk with you. And he didn't know me from Adam. And I said I was afraid of the group. Like, this is my first time with a real kind of big group. The coaches are awesome. Like, they're high-level coaches. The kids are the best kids in the country. And he's like, okay, what's your fastball? And I was like, okay, I'm good at this. And I will never forget, we have a meeting, and I see two of the kids in the hallway, like, with flowers. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? We're not here for the girls. Like, because it was a boys and girls camp. I'm like, we're not here for the girls. What are we doing? Like, get in the meeting room. I'm hardcore. And they're like, these are for you. And I'm like, what? Because the night before, he let the boys have their one-on-one session with just me. Uh-huh. I had 55 boys get to Q&A and hear my story, and
awesome. That
turned the tide of opening day, and they went on and bought me flowers the next day. And then I go into the meeting room, and everybody's like, I'm like, I don't like this, but I like it a lot. I don't like this. Yeah. But I was like, why do you guys have flowers? Like, who are these for? Tell these girls to get away. We're here for volley. Like, no, this is for you. We love you. And he did that.
That's cool.
He put me in that spotlight, and I am forever grateful. And I don't know if he ever thinks about that, but I honestly don't think I would be running another program again if I didn't have that opportunity. And then we got to coach together that weekend, and forever grateful. And I always try to go to an event and find him for dinner, or like connect with him. And now we're going to play at UCI this year, so it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I don't know David Niffen very well, but talked to him a couple times. Very nice guy. Fun memory from him, just a side thing here. The high performance championships used to happen in Fort Lauderdale. He would always rollerblade from the hotel.
Oh, he had his rollerblade. That's what we were doing. He had his rollerblades,
so
and
cool.
I was like, "Can I walk with you?"
Yeah.
And he did. So
that's so cool.
Actually, Amber Williams, she played for me this year. She's a demonstrator.
That's awesome. Full circle there.
Yes.
I know. Man, total side note, I am totally, like Stephen said, I'm very inspired by
thank you.
Your storytelling ability, your coaching philosophy, just how you carry yourself as a leader in the sport of volleyball.
Thanks.
I love taking these kind of mental notes and just applying what I can to, like, my own programs and teams too. So just want to say, like, a total side note, just thank you. For
I appreciate that. Like I said, I could always talk. I got all the things. I'm ready for them.
Mm-hmm. Let's keep talking about the U19 team.
Okay.
U20 team. At the time of this, release, it'll be the new year. You'll be head coaching the boys, right?
Yeah, I will be head coaching the U19, U20 training series in Anaheim.
Correct.
I did, actually, this is my third one. I did summer, and then I did the previous summer. So this is now kind of new group.
Okay.
Some new faces from this past summer, but I'm really excited about it. I always think the winter training series is the best camp.
Can you talk a little bit about those expectations?
I really love what NTDP is doing now, and really like, because I'm such an organized kind of person, where we're really focusing on the themes of camp of like float serve reception and float serving, because it's taboo, boys don't float serve. But this past summer we called it Float Serve Nation, and I said at the beginning of camp, where I'm like, there is no spin serve
You
here.
need to send my team to that because they don't
Hey,
listen to
here
that.
in Float Serve Nation, no, and I'm like, we're gonna actually train floating.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have to spin. And after the second session, they're like, are we going to spin today? Nope. They were like, okay, we won't ask anymore. And I even wrote on the whiteboard, don't ask. We're not spinning today. We're going to float. So that's kind of carried over to this training series. And block and defensive systems and out-of-system attacking. So it's going to be really exciting because there's some extremely high-level athletes there.
So what, I guess... You mentioned the training series as being like one of your favorites. Well, what about it is so great for you personally?
I get to spend 3 or 4 days with the best athletes in the country.
Okay.
They are not coming to my program, but it's exciting when we play these programs and they're like, Coach Nickie, what's up? And I actually had a colleague of mine. He is the strength coach at UCLA, and he's like, the volleyball guys know you here. How is that possible? I'm like, because I had them at winter training series, and you get to make
my guys.
Yeah, but I want to make an impression.
Yeah.
Very quickly, and I had the opportunity to really some club players that just graduated, they're freshmen in college now. They're some of my favorite kids, but they're not looking to talk to me about volleyball. I asked them, like, are you okay? Because they're the best of the best, and they're going through these recruiting decisions. Obviously, you're not coming to my school, but I can give you advice of I say this a lot, any decision you make is the right decision. So I go, you're actually in control of this situation. You're getting pulled and sold and all these different directions. And I love, and maybe that's a weird thing to say, like, I love being able to do that for these kids that don't have anyone, maybe besides their parents, but it's mom and dad, to say, like, you're stellar as who you are, and anything you say is going to be fine, and there is no wrong decision here. Even if you're just like, okay, I don't like it, I'm going to transfer, that's still the right decision. You had to go through that journey and experience to get to that place. So I love it, and I had this young man's at UCLA right now, and he was one of the best outside hitters in the class, and very stoic kind of kid. And I was like, all right, we're going to grade our play today. And he's like, all right, we're going to do this. And he did something that I don't think anybody else could do. And I'm like, that was okay. And I was like, what'd you get for yourself? I'm like, what grade? It's like a B-. I'm like, oh. I have a video on my phone of a young man who I believe is going to be an Olympian one day. And I told him that. I'm like, remember, Coach Nickie said it here first. Yeah. And I was like, can I get a T-shirt? And he's like, I'll give you way more than that. And I'm like, and I have his first real serve on my phone. Like, I kept it from camp.
Cool.
And it, like, first ball was under the net, second ball was to the back wall, and this third ball was a bomb. And I'm like, and he had braces at the time. And I'm like, we did that together. Yeah. Don't forget me, okay? When it's like 2032 and you're the Olympian, I want my T-shirt. That's what I want. So those are the connections. That's why I love those things, because they've probably been either coddled or not pushed enough because they've always been the best. And now I'm here to give you a little love for 4 or 5 days, or maybe a week because of summer and winter. And I love relationships. That's like you guys know Pee Wee Herman? Like,
oh yeah. Uh-huh.
When they're like, the word of the day is relationships. And then somebody says it, and I'm like, relationships. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Would you say that what you kind of talked about being that, supportive mentor, someone who's going to hold someone accountable, but, be them for them when they need, something off the court, would that be your favorite part about being a coach overall?
Oh,
or
yeah.
Specifically within the ATDP program?
I love training, but I think as a coach, the off the court, just off the court stuff is my favorite. It's very emotionally taxing. I will say that. I may give too much of myself because I am always trying to relate by story. And I have definitely had some offline conversations with athletes of, like, my mom has gone through the same thing you have, and you have to fail to succeed. And they don't know. They just look at you as like, oh, this is Coach Nickie. Like, this is her. She's this pillar of this defining moment, and they get to see me as me, and that's the most exciting part. And then when the light bulb clicks in the gym, that's my next favorite part of like, and practice, and then boom, light bulb clicks, and I'm like, that's core memories, tangible moments. I have so many I could just talk about, and it's really, really exciting. Like my old assistant, former alumni, he just got engaged, and I got the pictures, and he took me out to dinner last week, and I'm like, I love you both. I'm so proud. Like I feel like I was in the journey with them.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Well, we're getting close to time, but just wanted to end it here with, this episode will go out right before the new year. Do you have any New Year's resolutions that you are kind of looking towards?
So every year, my friends and I, we have had like buzzwords. So like one year was like, do epic, fill in the blank. That was one year. Last year, my best friend and I were like, choose violence. Like, again, Game of Thrones. Yeah. I'm a big Game of Thrones buff. Yeah. And we choose violence a lot, but it's like...
You have to know what next year is going to be.
I know. I'm all in. House of the Dragon, I'm all ready.
Oh,
but
so good.
I haven't got there yet. Like, it's always been something organic. I've already said at the beginning, I want it to be organically... I obviously want to win a lot. I want to have a lot more success, but now entering a different, I guess, era of my life. And I want to have more. I am actually choosing me this year for the first time. And that's weird. Feels kind of selfish because I never choose me, but it's the year of me.
Does that mean like taking some time off here and there?
I actually just recently stepped back from the women's program, and that was probably the hardest thing I have ever really had to do because I want to do it all. But it's been kind of in conversations for a while, but I'm like, maybe now I can actually mentor in a different capacity these young women. And yes, it's through sport, but now I can be your friend. I can really be your friend now, and not, okay, I want to talk about playing time and video after this. No, I'm talking to you in a capacity that I need some love today, and you can't call my mom, can't call my best friend. I can call you. So, year of me. There it is.
Mm-hmm. Just to clarify, stepping back from the women's program at McKendree, because now you're AD, right?
I am director of volley, head men's coach, assistant AD, diversity, all the titles. It's a terrible acronym, but we're going to figure it out.
The year of me, I like that. Yeah. I think you just found it, right?
I did. I think I just found it right now. You talked me through it. Organic. Yes.
Organic. There we go. Well, Nickie, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with us. Anything else that you'd like to share or talk about before we let you go here and wrap the episode
I don't think we have enough time. Guys. I can, as my GA said, I can ramble for a long time. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now.
I think she rolled her eyes when you said that too.
We're going to walk away and come back tomorrow. Nickie's still going to be here.
I'm going to still be here. I'm going to be here. I love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for taking the time to chat with us. This was awesome.
It's
awesome. This has been the USA Volleyball Show, the official podcast of USA Volleyball. You can email us at the usav@usav.org. And we've got a little bit of an audience here and people walking by. This is the best part about the live show is you see people and you just kind of wave off camera here.
It's funny to see who's kind of engaged and who isn't too.
And then a couple double takes what are they doing up there? What are they talking about? I appreciate it. I a little taken aback because she's like, it's going to be in the marketplace, but not in the marketplace, in the front.
Very close. But fun times here in Tampa at the AVCA Convention. And I guess the championship will already have happened after this, but definitely looking forward to watching that too. Next coming days.
I'm excited. I'll be on my couch. I will be at home. I appreciate that.
This is the USA Volleyball Show, the official podcast of USA Volleyball.
This has been the USA Volleyball Show with Clarence Hughes and Stephen Munson. Produced by Curtis Ward. Our content producer is Laura Fawcett. Our marketing lead is Bree J. Cox. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to rate and review. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the USA Volleyball Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.